Welcome to some of the Screen Squad. Like always, I'm Vinny.
As
The enthusiasm.
And on this episode, we're paying tribute to the man who has been in a lot of movies. Not the movies that I like from the 80s. But we're talking about a movie that I haven't seen, I guess, that I've ever sat through, the whole thing. Carl
Happy Black
Weathers.
History Month.
Carl Weathers, yep.
Black History Month.
Yep,
Bro,
what?
nothing.
It is
R.I.P.
February.
King.
It is February.
It is?
Yeah, it is February.
Yeah.
February.
It's in Febrero.
Well, yeah, Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed.
Mhm.
He was Chubbs. He was in Predator.
Weird. I'm a
What's his name?
Chubbs too.
Predator.
He was in Predator. He was in Arrested Development,
He's a pencil pusher.
right? He did a lot of things, right? Look, the most iconic thing in my opinion was Apollo Creed,
Yeah.
right?
You know,
And like
Definitely.
one of the best lines ever.
no matter what, I'll always go back to Rocky 3. He did the best work. That was the first time I was introduced to Carl Weathers. I was old enough at that point to watch Rocky and watch him. Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, bringing back Rocky from being a loser, being self-pity.
The tiger.
That's where it came.
Nails. Nails. Yeah.
There is no tomorrow.
See, I don't want to say it. I don't want to be a jerk. But
No,
there is no tomorrow for him now.
but Carl
Well,
Weathers came.
He was from Rocky.
Carl Weathers was a football player, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He played for the
NFL.
Raiders.
He played for the Raiders, and then
He also played in a Canada league, right?
That doesn't count as football.
but
Why are you so bright?
Me?
he sees the light.
The
Stay
fuck?
out of the light. Stay away from the light. No, but yeah,
Caroline.
no, but yeah. So he came from football. Then he went into acting, right? Then he started acting, and again
Mhm.
he's had these roles that have been cemented because he's even though he's not the star of Rocky, he's a huge part of Rocky. He's one of he's
He
the
was
reason.
very charismatic.
Yeah, and he's the
Very,
reason.
very, like,
And,
took over the screen.
yeah, and he's the reason why Rocky is Rocky. Think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't for Creed, there is no Rocky.
Yeah.
He
So-
gave me a chance. He gave me a chance.
Well,
to
even Stallone just
fight
released a video talking about how, he was a big part of that movie.
Well, yeah. If you think about it, the first part.
I got this painting done in the background.
Well, you couldn't look Rocky
You
one.
can
like that
remember
bar,
it's it's from that moment when at the end of the 3 we were like ding ding and
The last time we were together in the ring, he
Yeah.
said something like that.
Yeah. Well, if you
that's
think,
not true, by the way.
well, if you think about it, look, in Rocky 1, you couldn't
True
have
that,
Rocky
true that.
1 without the villain, right? And then you bring in what movie do you repeat the same, in what series can you repeat the same thing and it still be a great movie?
Life.
Right? Yeah. Well, see, I'm saying what movie, right?
Oh.
Can you repeat it and it still be a good movie? You're repeating the same
Groundhog
thing.
Day.
And then Rocky 3 is what changes it, right? He's like they're friends, and you're right. He is charismatic from the moment you see him. Like he has charisma, and he carries. There's something about that about Carl Weathers. Because when you go back and we're talking about Action Jackson,
His mustache. He had a mustache.
his solo movie. Who else could pull off that mustache,
Selleck, who?
and a flat top?
Steve Harvey in his early career.
Well, see,
Isn't that a wig?
this is Steve
I
Harvey
heard that
just
was a
goes,
wig.
Steve Harvey just changes
Yeah.
them. He goes to the next one. No, but
Like Mr. Potato Head.
that's right.
Isn't that what they called
That's
him?
what they called him because he could take his mustache off and he's like, I want something else.
He got the tickler in the face.
There you go. But yeah, then he went off and he made he became the star of his own movie, Action Jackson, right? A cop that is a
Which
renegade.
I hadn't seen in years, and
It's one of those movies that I think when I was a kid I stopped bits and pieces of it. Never saw the whole thing.
I remember we rented it and we saw it, and I was like it's like I wanted to see it again in my mind because I was like, it's been a while.
But it's one
Yeah.
of
Been a
the,
long
yeah.
while.
But yeah, it's one of the movies that you
But I
don't
remember him
think
jumping
about.
over, like just going after that car.
Bro, he runs at the same pace and speed of that car.
He was a track star, remember?
Yeah, he was a football player. But in the movie, they show that off. Like,
No, in the movie, he was a track.
oh, he's a football player. But then it makes sense that he's running that fast. But he's like,
Mm.
he's like Bolton. But the thing is, he doesn't show up until almost 10 minutes
Usain
into the
Bolton.
movie, right? He doesn't show up into the movie until 10 minutes. The first action scene isn't until like the first action sequence with him isn't until what, like 20, 30 minutes into the movie.
Now, the movie itself is pretty formulaic,
Yeah, but it's 1988. For
Yeah.
1988, it's
but
like,
it's still good.
but they don't
formulaic.
but they don't make movies like that as much anymore. Where
No.
where like
Everything was great. The practical effects.
yeah, the guys
Oh, bro.
the
The
guys when they-
beginning when the guy falls from the building
Yeah.
on fire. And
on
it's-
fire. That's
bro,
what I'm saying. When you shoot a dude with a grenade launcher and he lights up and he just like flies out the window. They don't do that. That would have been CGI now. Everything would have been
Mhm.
CGI. The stuntmen were a different breed back then.
They knew how to take a
Yeah.
bullet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but this and again, they don't make movies like this. Like you have Carl Weathers, you have Sharon Stone, you have Vanity,
First of
Don't-
all, it's
don't-
Sharon Stone.
and
Sharon.
then
French.
and then you have, but then you also, but the only thing is that you have Mr. Incredible doing some kung fu stuff, some martial arts. You have
Wait, Craig T. Nelson.
Craig
was
T.
good in this.
Nelson. He wasn't a bad villain. See, that's the thing.
No.
This is the 80s.
Okay,
The
tell me
80s,
about it. Wait. In the 80s, your villain either had to be an older man with slick back hair.
Mm.
That's Craig T. Nelson since he started.
But Craig T. Nelson in this movie was like probably what, in his 30s.
Yeah, he was already being coach. It's fine.
He was like in
That's-
his
that's
30s.
like-
So how is he an old man? He was in his 30s.
Yeah, but he's always looked old. Like his face looks like it's been
Yeah, remember
Yeah.
Poltergeist?
yeah.
Yeah, but he was in his 30s. How is his 30s looking old?
Yeah,
30s not old.
What what happened is they took out the headstones but left the bodies.
Word. But again, this movie, they like I said,
I thought you said don't go into the light.
like I'm telling you, like these kind of movies, they don't really make as, and they try to make them nowadays, and they're just not good. They just
Yeah.
there's missing aspects, and this movie, what it is definitely Carl Weathers' charisma, and like just the way it was written, and it was, again, this is one of those movies that's produced by Joel Silver, right? It's those
Lethal
Joel
Weapon,
Silver,
Joel Silver.
the Joel Silver. So it has that feel. It has that feel like
Yeah.
that Lethal Weapon-y feel, but it's its own thing. That's the thing. It's its own
But
thing.
you know what? I don't know. It's just because it's dumb, I guess, for me. But when I was watching this movie after you passed, we watched this movie and just seeing him turn, like, you know, that over his shoulder look with a smile. I was like, man, that's not gonna happen again.
And what the thing is, you also don't see that kind of running gag in any other movies in the 80s like that. Like with the kid, you don't see that often at that time. Those running gags, where that kid keeps seeing Action Jackson and fainting or like running away, or like he always runs into him. And again, it's that charisma, and it's the flat top, bro. It's the flat top. Without the flat top, you don't get the same Carl Weathers, right? It's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable flat
aerodynamic.
top. That's why he runs so fast. No, but seriously, it's a surprisingly enjoyable movie. Like if you go back from the 80s, you would think it would be goofy, it would be dumb, and it would be incoherent. But I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
I thought it was really good.
I enjoyed
And
it.
I'm sad that they didn't make it a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm bummed out that it just didn't get enough love back then because Schwarzenegger, Stallone, everything they were making movies kind of like it, but because he was usually a secondary star,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't put too much up behind it.
No, but
Like-
he did carry. He was able to carry a movie. Look, that's the thing.
Yeah. No,
he
he-
was able
easily,
to. He was easily
easily.
able to carry a movie. I mean, that's the one thing. Like they should have given Carl Weathers more of a chance to get to that level of Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense why they didn't keep up the franchise because it made a lot of money.
I mean, it was only made for 7 million,
Yeah.
and it according to this box office was 65 billion. So it
Yeah.
made a lot of money, right? So yeah,
But,
you're
but
right.
it didn't make Stallone Schwarzenegger money.
I mean, for the
That's
for the
that's
eight,
the messed
for
up
the
part.
80s, 65 million is at on
No,
a $7 million
no,
budget.
and-
That's a lot of
and you're
money.
absolutely correct.
And even nowadays, in an indie movie, if an indie movie makes that much money, like they're gonna try to do something more with that, with the actors in it or something. Because
And
why-
you're right, but I'm saying, but those are the markers that those movies back then were judged by. They were like, all right, who can we market it to? Bam, people who are rough to understand.
and the,
Stallone
Right.
in the Schwarzenegger,
but
or
that's the thing.
someone who speaks clearly
He
and
speaks
can
clearly,
actually
and,
carry.
and yeah, that's the thing. And
He's a smooth man.
And the reason why it made the money is because of how good Carl Weathers is in this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone that was in it, Craig T. Nelson, Carl Weathers, Vanity, right? Sharon Stone, The Nudity, right? Everything
Vanity.
was good in this movie, right?
Vanity,
Because again,
Sharon
I
Stone.
had not seen this movie, and I was surprised that there was any ounce of like, oh, I mean, I was the 80s, so what did I expect? But for some reason, I thought this movie was going to be PG-13. But it's not, and then also, the love interest at the end of the movie is a drug addict, right? They
Yeah.
establish in the movie that she was doing drugs, and then at the end they're like, "Yeah, let me kiss you."
or were the drugs doing her? Ah, deep.
That was stupid. Shut up.
Definitely Craig T. Nelson.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I mean, he gave her the drugs, and then all of a sudden,
Don't go into the light.
there you go. Stay out of the light, bro.
I was like, who just kicked me?
But the thing is about this movie is they could have continued it because it left so much open because Action Jackson, they explained like, oh, he did all this other stuff. That's why he was on death duty at the beginning. Like he was one of those guys that was a loose cannon and there was like so much destruction. And they show it like with the car scene where he's like when he's chasing the taxi, just on foot and jumping on a car, he causes that. There's so much damage caused.
Yeah.
And see this thing, you have the practical explosions when someone's on the top of a car. Again, stuntmen were a different breed, and back then, you have somebody on the car, and then you have all these
Back when
explosions behind.
stuntmen were men.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say he was like Riggs and Murtaugh put
Together. The loose cannon and the mustache. That's
He
what
was
it
Tango. He was Tango and Cash.
See, and that's what that again, and he was able to carry that movie. There was no dull moment. It was enjoyable. It had again.
No, you know,
I
what
could
would have
see-
made this?
Hold on. I could see where like Rush Hour took some stuff from this movie too, right? When he goes to the pool scene, the pool bar scene, where he goes to the
Yeah.
bar scene, he does all that. Like
You know what this movie needed to create the franchise was, action legend Rob Schneider.
well, Rob Schneider was like in his 40s at this time, right? I don't know how old Rob Schneider is.
Yeah, he was
It
40s,
doesn't need Rob
3'6".
It doesn't need, it didn't need Rob
Fine.
Schneider, but no, and that's the thing. Like
Still taller than you.
still,
Fuck you.
but but see,
We need Rob Schneider. The Rob Schneider man.
But see, that's the thing. This
Rush
movie,
Hour Bingo.
but the thing is, this movie didn't need any of that because again, Carl Weathers was able to do those things, and
Because he
that's
took on those two
and that's
spots.
and that's the thing about this movie, and how strong it is you have a story of a cop that stumbles onto this whole issue, this whole like case, and he's trying to take down Craig T. Nelson's character. And again, it's a cop that does it single-handedly, right? And I like up all the way to the like where they try to like in the movie where they try to frame him for killing somebody. They take his shirt, they put it on somebody else, saying to try to frame him that he did it. And even the fight scene at the end with Craig T. Nelson wasn't that bad, right? It was an enjoyable movie, and it was it formulaic, of course, but it was carried and made very, very well by everyone in it.
formulaic though. 80s formulaic was actually really good. Actually, it would still work now if you think about it.
If you
If
do it
they-
right, but they
if No, I'm saying no. But if you go that would if you use that formula from the '80s, from '80s action movies, these actual movies where you have the action star, they would actually still work now. The
They
problem is
they did.
people
They
people
do.
try to
Watch The Beekeeper. The Beekeeper is very similar to those action movies. It's just straight up like Jason Statham.
okay, please.
Just
I'll-
Jason Statham.
I'll
It's the same.
protect my queen.
But it's
But see,
I'm-
this
I'm
was
gonna keep my shirt on.
this was an idea from Carl Weathers while they were filming Predator. And you get reunited. You get Bill Duke. You get Sonny. What's his name? Sonny
Sonny Shiba.
Langston.
Because you get the other the guy who tries to kill him with the knife, right? That's also a guy from Predator too, no?
Yeah, Sonny.
Yeah, that guy.
I think that's his name, Sonny Langston.
yeah.
you get
Bill Duke. You get Bill Duke. You get
Vanity.
and then you get all the bad guys are all the crew
Sharon
from
Duke.
Die Hard.
Yeah, it's all the same dudes. But again, I don't mind it because it's like, it's when I watch it, I'm like, I've seen that guy in another movie. I've seen that guy in another movie. I've seen them in other things.
All-star cast.
Yeah, in my opinion, is 80s all-star background characters.
Yeah. Mhm.
And you also get Biff.
And you get Biff Tannen.
And you get
That's true. That's true. You do get Biff Tannen,
Mm-hmm.
right? But and then the other guy, the guy who was
Chris
with Biff
Nelson?
Tannen. No, the guy who was with Biff Tannen in the car. Isn't that the other Captain America from the TV, from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Isn't he the old Captain America, the Black Captain America? That's him, right? The guy who's with Biff.
I didn't think about it. I was like, wait, I don't think so.
I swear that's what it looks like him, because he even talks like him. So I don't know if it is, but I was like, oh dude, he's real young at that time. But you get a lot of background people that were in other movies, background villains, and they're in this movie, and you can tell. But again, it's a good movie. It's like, even again, like the whole pool scene, the bar scene where they talk about Papa Doc, right? When he goes and he's going to search for Papa Doc.
He was about to get his
nuts
get hit with an elbow and then die in the plane.
get his nuts sliced off. I don't know what
It's
I don't
the
know.
same. It's the same dude from Commando,
Okay.
the bartender.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That's right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then you got Joanna Man in it.
Oh, Miguel.
Oh
Nunes.
yeah.
Joanna Man is there. I'm telling you, they could have done a lot with this franchise. Look, it had, the soundtrack was good. I thought the music was good in it.
It was Herbie Hancock.
Oh, it was. It sounded 80s, but it sounded like that.
El señor hermano de verga.
You could have said Mano de Gallo, but all right.
De vergas.
Okay, all right.
Easy.
Penis fingers.
Easy, Turbo.
But I just think like this movie.
Couldn't help himself.
I
He's
know.
just like,
Anytime he gets the opportunity, he has to bring that up.
Scented fingers.
Oh, come on. Scratch and sniff fingers.
Herbie Hancock.
I
he
get it.
only talks about what he loves.
I know. That's every time he has to bring it back to that.
Salmon fingers.
Easy. But if you haven't seen Action
Watch Country
Jackson,
Bears.
Sticks.
if you haven't seen, I was gonna say if you haven't seen Country Bears, if you haven't seen Action Jackson, you should.
They eat seven fingers. It's
I
gross.
know they do.
Talk about fingering people.
Look,
huh?
Relax.
this is one of those movies that I really do recommend watching, because not only did Carl Weathers pass away this week, but it's just a good movie. It just shows that
Yes.
I think he could have carried franchises had he been given the chance to carry franchises, or if he found the right franchise. I think this could have been the right franchise, and we could have had like Action Jackson like 2, 3, 4, right? And it would, and depending on how they made them, I'm sure they would have still been good, right? You who would have known? But I think this was definitely one of those missed opportunities for a good franchise to have Carl Weathers carry this, because he was very charismatic in this movie, and a lot of the stuff that he does, he's one of those memorable characters, from The Mandalorian to to Rocky to Predator, right? You remember, look, iconic, the handshake thing. Whose biceps are those? Schwarzenegger's and Carl Weathers, right? The Rocky punch, right?
Unity. It's like,
the acting coach in Arrested Development, right?
well, that's right.
There was those. He had those memorable. He had the memorable parts. He was always put as the background. But when you put him in a movie as a lead character, look at how enjoyable this movie is. And even going back to it was made in 1988. We're in 2024 now. The movie is still enjoyable. I highly recommend watching it.
They were probably afraid because he is way better than Stallone or Schwarzenegger.
He has that
because he can actually form sentences.
And it was that natural charisma. That's what he had. He had that natural charisma.
Yeah.
And
you had to read.
He could be funny.
Mm-hmm.
When the other guys try to be funny, like Schwarzenegger or Stallone try to be funny, it's just awkward. But this guy, it was natural.
Mm-hmm. He had that ability.
He had a smoothness to him. It also reminded me of
Easy.
No. Remember, there's times when Shaft would actually like talk and make a joke, but kind of still be smooth about it.
But I think
that's
and that's what he kind of went with. Like he was able to deliver it. He was able to deliver
it. That's what I was reading. That you don't read.
You push play on the podcast and he talked about it.
No, that he wanted to make like a blaxploitation movie.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted that feel.
Well, look at what Michael J. White did himself. A movie that in times where he couldn't make his own franchise, what did he do? He went off and he made Black Dynamite.
Dynamite,
right?
Dynamite.
This movie, according to Wikipedia, it grossed 20 million at the box office, but on VHS, 45 million.
Nice.
Like just in VHS. This shows that, like in the home market, dude, he was able to.
It wasn't. I don't remember it being in how long. I don't remember it being in theaters long.
How old were you?
Exactly, I don't remember.
You were 6 years old.
No,
you were 7.
Relax.
You're 7 years old.
Yeah,
you're 7, like Brad Pitt 7.
Yeah, I'm like Benjamin Button 7.
Yeah,
I look older when I was younger. Go figure.
That's right. You still look older when you're older, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just gaining the weight.
You had Benjamin Button disease then, and you have it now. But you have a reverse now. You're getting older and you're looking older.
I got psoriasis. Arthritis.
It's the liver.
Hemorrhoids.
God, tons of those. There's so much blood in my stool.
They're internal.
Crazy.
All right.
So on that note,
on that note, check out Action Jackson.
Went through his medical records.
Yeah, we don't need all this. On that note, you should check out Action Jackson. It's definitely it's definitely one of those movies that it's one of those what could have been had this been pushed to become a bigger franchise. Mm-hmm. So I highly recommend watching Action Jackson because again, you'll realize that Carl Weathers is good in this movie, and it opens up like the other stuff that he's done that you can go watch again. You have the where he's co-starring Predator, Rocky, right? Which I would say he's not even like a supporting character in Rocky.
He's
Rocky
essential.
3.
He's essential in those films.
In 1 through 4, he's an essential.
Co-star.
Yeah, he's a co-star in those movies because look at from being a villain in the first one to go into and to actually you caring about the fact that he dies. He gets murked in part 4, and it hits. It hits, right? Yeah. You should. I definitely recommend watching his catalog of work because
if he dies,
it's really good. It's really good. It shows that he can do a lot of things. So check out Action Jackson, and any streaming platform you need. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been Vinny,
Zazie,
and
we'll see you guys next time.
See ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.